Welcome back, guys. We're here, practice Supra on the rotisserie. You're looking at the underbelly, of course, and what we're doing with it on the rotisserie is sanding all this, like I mentioned in the previous video, this tar undercoating off. Doesn't really come off very easy. We can scrape it off a little bit with some different tools, but for the most part you're using a wire wheel. I'll show you some of the tools we're using. There's other ways you could do it. We're sometimes using a torch, some of these, but kind of this knotted wire wheel works the best, but then it's also the most painful for your body to do. Let's step inside here real quick. We removed any tabs that were on here that held the old dash on and in place, and some other tabs. Adam has been doing most of this work. Adam also did this. We had replaced the trans tunnel piece before, as you can do in a Supra, and go from non-turbo to turbo, but we had some cutouts, so then instead of replacing the whole thing, we just put a new top piece on here. Previously there was a cutout to fit a different transmission in here, and then the Andrews went in here, so that's kind of the majority of stuff. As you look around, it's stripped down to nothing. There's no brake lines on it. We took the pedals out the steering column. Could put the stock column back in and stock pedals, but I think I want to put a Tilton pedal box in here and a Woodward column and just make this a super legit car that is close to the Pro car, like I mentioned, but change around the weight balance of it. We'll see, and if that happens, we'd put a sequential in here. We just need to get it stripped down and finish that stuff first, and then we'll decide, like, put all our parts in a pile. But we'll show you as we're working on it a little bit later today, and then update you guys as we go. But we're making progress, and we're going all the way down to start at ground zero with it and then build it up. So it'll be much nicer than it's ever been. It's cool to see it on the rotisserie, but I'll be excited when it's off of that and we're further along, because I want to start driving that car again soon. Hi everyone, I'm here with this cool new product called AlwayStart. This connects to your battery and interrupts the wiring between the battery and the car, and it monitors your battery's juice, and if there's a draw on your battery, it will shut off the connection and leave just enough juice in the battery to be able to start your car when it's time to start it. So let's talk about the details. So this is a perfect product for those people that have a weekend car that they don't drive too much, or maybe a boat or a truck that sits for many months, and then when you go to fire it up, you need to make sure that the battery's not dead. You don't have to think about using a charger anymore and sitting on a trickle charger with an extension cord, because this has you handled. There's a solid state relay in here, no moving parts. This can handle 1200 cranking amps, 200 continuous amps, and we have a monitor down here to show you how much juice is left in your battery. That's very convenient. And then we have a little warning light here that will come on if you have a dying cell in your battery, or maybe a dead cell. It's kind of saying, hey, time to replace the battery. A couple other features are the on and off buttons. So the on button, when it's on position, it's monitoring the volts in your battery, and if it sees a parasitic draw and it's going below where you're going to be able to crank the engine and start your vehicle, it will cut off tie, and then you will have just enough juice left in the battery when it is time to start it that it will fire up. That's super convenient to saving your battery, but then also you could run it on off. So as soon as you get out of the car, turn off the car, hit off, then it's fully disconnected, and now your battery will be at the same juice it was last time you turned it off, and you come back over, hit on, start your car, you're good to go. So we've installed the AlwayStart here on the truck, connects to the positive and negative terminals of the battery, and then to and from the AlwayStart to the truck's wiring. You can also see that the on-off button is active right here. So the Corvette behind me gets driven 7 to 10 times a year, so it's a perfect example for AlwayStart. AlwayStart keeps the battery with just enough juice in it, so when it's time to fire it up, it's ready to go, and we don't even have to use a trickle charger. AlwayStart Kickstarter crossed 6 figures in the first day and already has hundreds of backers. Make sure to back their campaign while it's still running. Their Kickstarter page is linked in the description below.
All right guys, so this is how clean I am before I start stripping that again. I'm still dirty, I already washed my face, but we'll do an after update. One shot, now the future is yours. Go! Yeah, I was building on a lecture. Verses coming daily under pressure. Working on applying the scheme. The true style trademark is at the edge of your dreams. I'm talking one shot for the kill. Wow, this is a lot. Can we get some flames? Taking over pieces and shares. A bomb big sky high. Check the movement is here. Yeah. Yeah. It's
So I'm not even done yet, and this is how dirty I am right now. I got it everywhere. Look at this. Cotton candy. Toyota cotton candy right there. Sun X Tools, baby.
Alright, so all the rubber has been removed. Probably some small areas, small corners that are pretty hard to get to, and we're just gonna leave them. Look at that though. So Adam cut out a little bit more of the inner fender because it just gets in the way of the tire, and we cut a little bit more this way. We'll clean it up more on the inside of the shop. Oh, we shorten the track width arm, and it pulls the tire closer to that front of the wheel well, and by doing that we run out of room with the GT there. If you're running the big GT, this car might not run the big GT, but if we build this car just right and we like it and you run the big GT on it, sometimes you're gonna need that space. So we did that. Came out good. Adam's gonna tell you a story.
It was very messy, a lot of rubber, a lot of work. Came out good though. I like it.
Did come out good. So we're finishing up, then we'll wheel it inside. Got the Radium 6-gallon cell out. We got a used hand-me-down PWR from the race car. We want to see if we can get it to fit in this area, but not that deep in there. And then somehow get the cell to fit down in that corner. So that would go up this way a lot more, but it only can go up so high. Maybe to about here. We would have to put a hatch on and measure everything when we get exact with it, but something like this. And this thing's heavy as crap. Something like that. Kind of does fit, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we should put a hatch on. If we think we can make it work, you could get like a cup, because there's a bung already on there. You get a cup and then like tack weld one of those new coped bungs we have, and like just make the top mount so you could like pivot it, but get it as high up as we can get it, and like just start with the top mount so we could do that, and then we know the height of it, like it's just kissing the window or something, you know. And then go backwards from there, and then be like, okay, we have this much room to force that fuel cell down in that pocket, which it's probably going to be tight, but I think as long as we could, like, let's say service the FCSTX without taking the radiator out, that's all we need to be able to accomplish. Because it's not like you don't get to a cell too often, you know? It's gonna have to go up and back because the fact that we still have to have some kind of firewall, which we can redo that, but firewall and the depth of it is like 8 inches deep, I think. So we're gonna have to go up higher than that, I think, and cut into it and like notch into this, but we gotta see what Kevin says about that.
Yeah, because kind of what I'm thinking is the top of the cell was here. That would be,
oh, the top? Yeah, that would be amazing.
that'd
But
be perfect.
you need to have a rear subframe in there, or we can look at the other car. Below this is like where the traction arm is on the subframe. There's like that little like piece that sticks farther forward than any other piece.
Yeah.
And it's relatively close to right there. So we would have to see if we do have room there or we don't have room there. Because right now I have a cutout and I cut down in there for the battery to sit lower on the other car. But it even gets within like 4 inches or something. Let's see if we can look at that real quick. So close, it's like touching the battery box. Wow. That's really close. Okay, so it might not, it would have to go so much farther forward, and then that's getting in like that structural area. And I don't know what the answer is on yes or no for that. We will find out. Update on the demo Supra. So this is the inside of the motor. We decided to tear it down. For some reason the crank looks like a new crank. It's definitely not. Everything looks literally perfect. These are the bearings, have tiniest bit of wear. A little bit of scuffs on the skirts. But I have no idea how many miles were on this engine when I bought it, used from the importer, and then, I don't know, it just got its ass beat for 8 years, and it seemed to like it, I guess. Crank journal looks perfect. Tearing that down, we're gonna sell this head with cams and everything in it. Someone will want that. This is gonna get built into something else. Let's look at the car. Still trying to fit this radium cell in here. You can see it needs to go back this way. Probably another like 4 or 5 inches, but we need to see how far we can go in this area before we come into contact with where the traction arm ends, but we're above it right now, so if we could go back like 3.5 inches and we might get lucky. That's why we put this old subframe in there, just so that we know how far we can go. Still gonna stick out this way, probably to about here, which is okay. Just means with the firewall would have to have a little box around it there. There'll be room for passenger seats still. As you can see, we cut out some of that structure. We got that approved by Kevin Wells. We should have videotaped the phone call because we went back and forth on ideas and stuff. He's pretty helpful, but he's saying you're cutting out a lot of structure, so whatever you cut out, you need to put back in just as strong because that's going to make the chassis weaker. He kind of didn't want us to do it, but he kind of wanted us to do it. I don't know. We just got to try. This car's already a little bent and beat up. We're going to try with this one. If it doesn't work out perfect, we can put it back to how it was, I guess. But this car doesn't need to do FD, but if it can be FD legal and we like it, then it could do FD. Probably have to cut more so we can reinforce it, but we'll keep you guys updated as we go. While we're at it, I wanted to show you guys some new parts that we're always trying to develop new stuff and come out with new things. So we had the 270 amp alternator that we came out with not that long ago that we did a little collab with DC Power, but we converted it to self-exciting so that anyone could wire it into their car. You just need the main positive terminal coming from the alternator. But then we wanted to also offer it in black. You can do other colors, but I chose to get a couple made in black. We haven't put them on the website yet, but we will. The whole back of it is even billet, so it has a billet rear, whereas the other one's cast rear, and then it's anodized black, and the front is done anodized black, and then after the anodizing, then they engrave, you know, machine it again and put Rad Industries in there. So that's a cool little detail. So if you're really into the details in your engine bay, like myself, because I put one of these on my car, you're gonna want one of these. And if you really wanted another custom color, we could do that, but let me tell you, it's not going to be quick. It'll probably take 3 months, so could take even longer. So if you're willing to wait, we could do like purple or something, but black we'll have here. Also, let's check out the new handbrake. So we have one here on the table. Some of the cool new features are we tried to keep the same exact shape for the grip here for your hand, but we've removed some material here to reduce weight. Even removed some material here in the top, and it has a billet base, so now it's a one-off base. Same bolt pattern as before, still utilizes a countersunk in there to mount it, so that's out of your way if you need it further forward. We also put 2 bearings inside here, so there's 2 bearings inside here, so there's 0 side-to-side play, there's none at all, and it's real nice smooth pull. Feels great. Comparing to the other one felt good. This one's way better. It's like 50% better or something like that. And then it uses the rod end here in the center instead of, before it had a clevis on the outside, so now it uses this rod end. So everything's getting a little cleaner, more precise machine here. It's got our logo in the back as well as on the side here. We did put one in the race car, we'll show you that. The price did go up significantly because we've added these features and more machine time, but it's well worth it. This will be on the website shortly. We do have a couple black ones here. We did a small run of 10 before we finished out a run of, I think, 100 more. So those 100 will be done here shortly, but right now we have 3 black ones left because these were kind of pre-order ones and most of them are gone already and one went into my car.
What do you want to film?
This. We're filming you.
Oh, look. I'm putting a box in the slot.
See how that box went in there?
Oh.
That box made by Radium goes inside that box. But first, see this on the edge here? He's gonna trim around that edge so that none of this is there anymore. And it's just gonna be the portion that's sunk into the floor. And then that will slide into what's left of that box. And then we'll make the upper part of the structure that holds it in place, and we'll reinforce what we can around the base of this. Although we added in metal in there, we still, I don't know, I think it's way weaker. He has his opinion, but I just think we made it way weaker.
It's strong. Strong enough.
He says it's strong. And so we're trying to then box in a little more after so that it doesn't flex that much and kind of still have the same rigidity that we had prior to cutting a chunk of the structure out of the car.
It's going pretty good.
And then after that, we'll work on mounting that old radiator that you saw in some way, shape, or form. Back here, we put the old ducting in there to see where the window and hatch would go. That won't work with the new radiator because that radiator was a hand-me-down out of this car and it's a little bit wider and taller. So it's gonna pretty much go right up to where this sits and tuck down in there. And it will probably be like this far away from this radium cell, but we're just trying to compact everything in there close as we can to the back of the driver so that everything is kind of in the cab and keeping all that weight in there like we talked about. Those are probably the two harder things we got to do, and then after that the project might start moving forward a lot faster. All right guys, that's it for this episode, so we'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and more details to come on this guy.